Okay, was looking at finding more accurate ammunition, trying to make a Glock 34 more accurate. So there's a couple things that I did. Shot a bunch of ammo. I was going to show you some of the reviews. First off, a little bit about the Glock. It's designed for a slow fire in a stress shoot for a competition called Cola Warrior. As a Gen 4, cut down to accept the 15 round magazines. All my other Glocks are 19s. Yeah, I cut it myself. Looks like junk. Don't care. It's a tool. Obviously the 17 round mags fit fine. Went online. Amazon had a deal on Kensight, adjustable. Really well made sight. They came as a set, and what came with the set was a .315 inch high set, front sight. So I installed the sight set, went out, shot it, sighted it in, and there was just not enough adjustability on it. .315 is just too short. So if you go on Amazon, you see it, you're going to see the sight still on there. Don't get the sight set because you're going to have to buy another front sight post. I went to Dawson Precision and I got their .385 front sight. It's also wider. It's .125 width as opposed to the .10 width of this. And you can see, if you can get in there real tight, you can see the sight that came with it. There's a sight that came with it. Is narrower and it's shorter. It's too short. Just doesn't work with the rear sight, at least on a 34. Maybe a 19, but why would you want a precision sight set on a 19 or even a 26? It doesn't make sense. Good sight, pretty easy to adjust, very solid. It required a little bit of fitting, which I did with a file. Looks like crap. Again, it's a tool. I don't care as long as it's set in there solid, which it is. So I was not happy with the accuracy I was receiving with the Glock. So did a couple of internal adjustments. One of the first things that I did is I put a 3.5 pound connector in there. If you've ever worked with a Glock, you know what that's like. I also took out the firing pin safety spring here and put in a new one. I also changed out the trigger spring. Went out, shot great, felt much, much better. It has the Gen 4 bump, which I don't like at all. You can tell how that degrades the trigger. I don't know what Glock was thinking on that. However, when I was shooting, after about 100 rounds, I was having a failure to reset after I pulled the trigger. And did a little bit of research, and the trigger spring is also responsible for trigger reset. And that was the problem. The spring was just too light. If you got any sort of fouling or desert, last competition for Cola Warrior was in the desert. I put about 75 rounds through it, kept it somewhat clean. Just wasn't enough. So I put the original stock trigger spring back in. The reset problem went away completely, and I could not tell the difference on the trigger pull. It's really mostly you're going to find in that connector and a little bit, I guess, in the firing pin safety spring. But the trigger spring itself really doesn't affect the trigger pull. That's mostly the trigger reset spring, if anything else. So if you want to replace it, fine. Just understand you're assuming a little bit of risk. So anyways, that's my Glock 34. It's got the Kensight, Dawson Precision, front sight, .385 tall, .125 width, new 3.5 pound inch connector, Wolf spring, eject firing pin safety, and put a little bit of grip tape on it, custom cut, don't care, and then I hacked the heck out of the grip. Again, don't care. I like a high grip anyways, so it's irrelevant for me to have the longer grip. Nice long sight plane. So I'd start off using, I bought a bunch of this Gecko 124 grain, got it from Aim Surplus, great prices. Aim Surplus is a great company. If you ever have the opportunity, just go ahead and hit them. If they have it in stock, that's fine. About 500 rounds of this stuff. Never had a malfunction. Everything cycles great. The only issue sometimes is I don't get a slide. The slide does not lock back on the last round. Sometimes. Sometimes it does. Not a big deal to me. Don't care. This isn't a combat firearm, so not an issue for me. But the accuracy wasn't there. And I had done some reading, and I saw a lot of guys like 147 grains with Glocks. So I bought a bunch of different 147 grains bullets out there. Got them from Ammo to Go. The most expensive one I tried out was the Corbon, 147 grain. And this is about 50 cents a round. Was not cheap. But I figured I'd try it. And you can see here the group. And here. This is 25 yards off a sandbag. I'm not a good pistol shot. I want to blame my ammo, I want to blame my gun, but at the end of the day, I'm the problem. So, didn't like what I was seeing here. So the Core 147 grain was the most expensive ammunition I tried. For the Glock 34 with the stock barrel, not worth the money. Then I tried PPU 158 grain, and that was an absolute disaster. Now this is what it looks like. It wasn't too expensive, but 158 grain, really heavy stuff. And the Glock hated it. It's all over the place. I even had one flyer that went off the paper completely on this one, and I think the same thing on this one. So don't waste your money. If you got a 34 stock barrel, the 158 grain ain't gonna get it done. Went back to old reliable, the 124 grain, and had some decent groups. Had a flyer here, called that one. So this is a legitimate group. Didn't call any of the flyers here, but it worked out okay. This was also after I adjusted the new sight a little bit just to bring it up. So at 25 yards off a sandbag with that front sight post, it takes a long time to get a good sight picture. My eyes are old, I'm in my mid-40s. So I don't know whether to blame the grouping on my eyes or on the ammo, but this was acceptable accuracy for me, and it was the same stuff I've been using the whole time. I felt a little silly. And again, that was the ammunition that I bought from AIM Surplus. And it's cheap. It's one of the least expensive ammunitions out there. I mean, you can call this a plinker, but I got some really nice accuracy out of it. The UMC 45 gave me the best single 5-shot group. I was really happy with that. I generally shot 2 5-inch groups. And then this one, which wasn't as good, but like an idiot, I really became enamored of this group, thinking that, oh, this is how I really shoot, and this isn't. This just could be dumb luck. It's 5-round group, so I started to do some more work with the UMC 147 grain. It's a leadless, it's a flat-nosed. It's leadless because it's an enclosed base, so no lead is exposed. And it was one of the cheaper 147 grains that I tried. And of the 147 grains, it gave me the best group. So I was pretty happy with that one. I wanted to see if I could make some more stuff happen. And then finally, I shot the Winchester 147 grain. Super unleaded, also encapsulated, same sort of concept. Also has not a round tip, kind of a flat tip. All of these fed flawlessly. I had 0 malfunctions to feed in my Glock 34. So I can't speak to the reliability of any of them. They all work just fine. The only issue I had was a failure to lock back on the slide. I will say you can feel the recoil difference when you shoot them. The 147 grains come out of the gun a little bit harder than the 124 grains. So you feel the recoil. On a slow fire, it's no big deal, but it is there. And I got some decent groups, but not better. This one was pretty good, a little bit low. And then this one, you know, it's okay. Nothing spectacular, good or bad. Wasn't better than the UMC 147 grain enough. So I kind of said, well, all right, I got that one, not bad, but not good enough for the price. Basically, they're the same price. So those are the bullets that I used. I was really happy with the UMC 147 grain, but frankly, the 124 grain shot just fine. And there's no reason for me to buy all this ammunition because it really didn't make much of a difference. I, again, am the problem with my accuracy. One last thing I want to show you is the Lula uploader. If you've never worked with one of these, if you're doing a lot of pistol shooting, especially with modern double stacks, this thing is the way to go. If you've never used it, it is just great. It saves your thumb, doesn't hurt one bit. The weakest part you're going to have is just holding on to a handful of bullets. It doesn't hurt at all. So this is the Up Lula Universal Pistol Mag. Works for any double stack. And if you're going to a pistol course and you're going to be shooting a lot of ammunition and you like your thumbs, you definitely want to spend the 30 or so bucks. I forget where I bought this one. I used the one for the AR magazines, the M16 magazines. I'm in the military, and that thing's great. So that's the Up Lula. Definitely worth the money. If you ever want it, it's 25 bucks a plastic, and it works for anything. You can kind of see the brands on there. If you've got any questions, of course, leave a comment. Appreciate your time. If you got a Glock 34 standard barrel, Gen 4, and you're looking for accurate ammo, if you got something better than this that's stock, great, but I wouldn't bother buying a whole bunch of 147 grainers because it's just not worth the time or money. I didn't see that much of a difference, and the more you spend on cheaper ammos, the more you can practice, which is really going to make a difference. And Ken, Cola Warrior, Peep and Crossbones, check it out on YouTube. It's pretty funny stuff. Thanks a lot.